Yo, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's me, Jared, and I'm here once again with the hair, which is getting worse and worse every day. But more importantly than the hair is Mythos Tales. So we are back once again today with another adventure in Mythos Tales. I believe this is number 5 or number 6 in the book. So we're on the I think there's 8 total. So we're getting towards the tail end of the book here. So this is very exciting. Oh, Carolina, hello, hello. Nice of you to finally join me on one of these. What a treat it is today, folks. Dear friend, coming to hang out. Let me talk about some old Cthulhu here to him. But yeah, so Mythos Tales. If you don't know what this game is, if you ever had any of those really cool R.L. Stine, Goosebumps, pick your own adventure books that you read through as a kid, this is like the adult version of that. Every scenario has these different encounters, and they're based off these locations on the map, and they represent like a person's house or a business. And you go there and talk to them and trying to follow clues to gain information, and then you have a certain amount of time, and by the end of that time, or whenever you decide that you're ready, there's going to be a set of questions at the end you have to answer, and you get a score based on how well you answered the questions. If you have watched any of my streams before, you'll know that I am pretty inconsistent. Some of them I did pretty well, others I absolutely failed. The last one that I did, it was bad. It was, to be fair, it was the hardest one yet, but I still did pretty terrible. So I'm going to try and redeem myself this week. So as usual, always recommending with this game, pen and paper. You have to take notes, and they have to be detailed. If they're not detailed, you are going to not do well on the quiz. So I make it sound like it's school. It's not school. It's an investigation. But yeah, that's that. So real quick before I hop into this, couple of things I want to go over with everybody watching, in case you haven't, if you first time watching or hanging out with us, I've got 2 links on the top of the screen here. Let's go over the one on the left first. So teespring.com/store/GreatFoxGames. That is our merch store. So we have t-shirts, hoodies, stickers. There's even a pillow on there you can get, and it features unique pieces from artwork from our games. So we've got Champions of Midgard, Deception Murder in Hong Kong. What else do we have? Bushido, Seven Ronin, and we just uploaded Reavers of Midgard yesterday as well. So there's some brand new stuff on there, and we are currently working on some designs for Run Fight or Die, which that should be up hopefully by the end of the week, if not early next week. So if you're ever looking for some cool swag, if you like any of the artwork in our games, that's the best place to get it right there. The other one up there is a discount code. And so what we do on these live streams now is that any of the games that we offer or that I play on stream, we'll have a discount code on the stream, and that code is only valid for 24 hours. So the code Mythos Live is going to be for Mythos Tales. So if you go to our website, greatfoxgames.com, and you order a copy of Mythos Tales and you use the Mythos Live code, it'll give you 25% off of the game. So it's a pretty sweet deal. Like I said, it's only for 24 hours, but each one of our streams will have a unique code for whatever game that I'm playing, so you'll need to tune in to the stream in order to get the code if you're looking to order some games at a discount. So those are 2 things I wanted to go over real fast. I'll go over them again at the end of the stream as well. But that is that. So I have the game mostly set up. There's a couple of small things I still want to go over, but this is a very reading-heavy game. So I always try and keep that part of the setup for the stream, so that way everyone can be involved and be on top of the story. And speaking of being involved, you can actually help me in these scenarios if you want. There's 2 ways. One, if you own a copy of the game, you can help me out. If you don't have a copy of the game, and this actually extends beyond just the stream, but if just for helping me out now, we've uploaded digital files of Mythos Tales. They're on Board Game Geek, and I believe they're also on our website. And the digital files is basically everything except for this main story, the rule book that has your list of known contacts here. So basically, for the streams, or if you happen to know anyone who has a copy of the game and you're looking to play a game together over Skype or Zoom or whatever your preferred medium is, you can download the digital files And as basically, you know, as I go through and I read these, you could go through and maybe I'm reading something and you're like, oh, he mentioned this person's name. I'll go ahead and I'll find him in the directory, and then I'll post in the comments on here and be like, oh, you should check this out. It links to this, and then I'll like, oh, okay, cool. So you can hop in on the action. I mean, if you don't want to, if you just want to enjoy my wonderful radio voice and let me do my best at butchering this mystery on my own, totally fine. I just want you to enjoy yourself, just letting you know that you can help me out if you so desire. And if you end up thinking the game's cool, if this is your first time watching and Mythos Tales looks like a really cool game to you, you can order a copy of the game using that discount code, and then get your friends to download the digital files from Board Game Geek or the website, and then y'all can play through these together. So it's a really cool thing. So I just wanted to go over that real fast. If I had thought about it, I would have provided a link for it, but since I've already started, I don't have a link. But if you go to Board Game Geek and you just look up Mythos Tales in the sections in the forums that has downloads, you'll see where we uploaded all the digital files for this. So if you would like to play along with me today, you can go ahead and do that. And then as I'm playing through, just post in the comments if you have anything helpful or if you need anything else from me. So if you're at home, you would. I totally get it. It's all good. You just sit right there and let me entertain you. Don't you worry about a thing. Also, don't judge me. I'm really bad at these. So I already have it marked here with the newspaper. This is one of the really cool things about this game that I really enjoy is each one of our mysteries has a newspaper for that date. And the newspapers have a lot of information in them. Not all of it is relevant. Sometimes there's only one or two things that you can pick out. But the game is really cool. It's very much set in the flavor of the world. You know, this is H.P. Lovecraft, and so we tried to do as much as we could with immersing you in the experience. So these newspapers are, you know, like I said, not all of it is necessarily relevant information to a thing, but it's just really cool. Like we have these little things in the corner here. This is the thought of the day, and just like little sayings and stuff like that to try and keep you immersed in the world. So one of my favorite things about the game. So this is the one that I need, as this is called the Serpent's Vengeance. That is the mystery we're doing today. It is investigation number 5. So this is number 5, so there's 8 total. So over the next 3 weeks, I'll be finishing the rest of this book on streams. So this takes place in October 21st, 1929. And I have the newspaper that matches that date. Some of the newspapers are within 1 or 2 days of the date, so sometimes it won't be exact. So it might be like a couple days after because newspaper printing, you know how it goes. So just keep that in mind if you have the game. But this is the newspaper that we need, so I'm going to set that off to the side here for now. And so if you haven't joined me before for any of these or played the game, each one of these mysteries will have this cover page that gives you this artwork, and then you open it up, and then it will have a set of rules here that will give you the setup. Each of these mysteries is going to have a length of time that limits you. So it'll give you the length of time here, as well as any special rules for this particular one. In the last mystery, we had some special rules because we had to jump to a dream world, and so we had a special thing that we could take anytime we wanted to, and then all the locations on the map were completely different in the dream world, so we had to keep going back and coming back and going, you know, go to the dream, come back to reality, go to the dream, come back to reality, and like it was super fun, but it was so hard, and I did awful. So that's just an example of some of the rules that can happen here. So I don't know if there's anything unique for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read through this, and let's see what this setup is. So delay rules. So during Investigation 5, the Serpent's Vengeance, or the one we're about to play, players may experience an attempted delay by the guilty party to encourage players to stop their investigation. Very often, these delays may arise when the players are visiting the best leads. The delay is usually presented at the end of the encounter, and players have the option of advancing the time tracker to deal with the delay. Delays may wish you ignore the delay and proceed as normal, continuing their investigation. The poison is not, will be linked to somebody getting poisoned, I assume. It says it's not fatal, so if I choose not to help people, then they won't die. But according to the book, I have to keep track of how many people I don't help if I choose not to, or do help, and then I will be judged on that in some way at the end of the investigation. So it'll always tell you things like that. Like in the last one with it was called Nocturne that you had to take, and it was like, be careful with Nocturne, you might go insane if you take too much of it. So there's always a caveat to these rules. It's like, you can do this, but keep mind of this later in there. So you do have to keep track of that. This game does run on a bit of an honor system, obviously, because especially in the solo mode, because you're just playing with yourself, but when you're playing with other people too. My rule of thumb for this is just enjoy it. The challenge is always fun. Do your best to follow the rules, but if your group just wants to play this and just get through it and just enjoy the story, totally fine too. We just want you to enjoy the game. All right, so investigation complexity. This section in every one of these will tell you exactly how long you're going to have to solve this case. So, Armitage speculates, unless there are no surprises, I foresee myself visiting between 8 and 13 locations to answer most questions. However, we're dealing with someone who has the audacity to use poison, so I would tread lightly. Be careful. Please wrap up your investigation by no later than day 5 afternoon. So, over here in our time tracker, this little X is going to mark the end of the investigation. So day 5 afternoon, whenever we get to that point, that will be the very last amount of time that I will be able to spend on this investigation. Generally speaking, they give you more time than you quote-unquote need, and there's a certain amount of leads that you can follow without getting a penalty, and then if you go over that, then you'll get a penalty. But you don't know exactly how many. This says 8 to 13, so somewhere in 8 to 13, it might be like, oh yeah, if for everything past 11, lose a point or something like that. So just keep that in mind. It certainly benefits to be efficient with your leads, but there's no way of knowing. If you've watched my other streams, you'll know I do not do well. I follow the rabbit hole in the wrong direction all the time, but the game's designed that way. So I could easily go back and even I don't remember a whole lot even about the last one, but the other ones that I've played, even though I know the outcome, because it's a set of questions, I don't remember exactly what questions needed to be. So there is replay value in trying to be efficient and follow the leads. I'm not going to do that, but you can do that. So, all right. So we have everything set up. Let me just, I gotta keep some water on hand for this one. It's always this game because I am basically just reading the entire time. It's like I don't know if you've ever tried talking for 2 hours, 3 hours straight. Not the easiest thing to do. So we're gonna try and stay hydrated, and yeah. So that's that. Okay, let's get started, shall we? All right. So, The Serpent's Vengeance, Investigation 5, Arkham, Massachusetts, October 21st, 1929. Going back a few years. Okay. The citizens of Arkham took to Nordwell's traveling menagerie, creatures fair, and foul like flies to a corpse. Nordwell Zoo landed in Arkham a month ago, operating on the north end of Independence Square, and soon became a focus of conversation for old and young alike. You have been meaning to give the traveling zoo a visit when you hear a curious statement by a stranger. You're enjoying this morning's tea at your local bakery while perusing the Arkham Advertiser when a gruff man loudly announces his disappointment upon learning that Nordwell's gates were shuttered due to an unforeseen incident. Took me kids all the way out there, and what is this? I said to the guards at the gate. We had spent half the day walking to get there, and I insisted they pay me money for a return cab ride home. They said they had to close due to a problem with their snakes. A tingle wiggles down your spine. Snakes are not something you find pleasant. Within minutes, a newspaper boy stops his bike in front of the baker shop, dismounts, and walks to your table. Professor Armitage sent me, the boy says. It is urgent, I think. Oh, and he didn't pay me enough. You got a dime? You are not a believer in coincidence, but certainly this can't have anything to do with an unexpected closing of Nordwell's. You give the kid a dime and shudder at the thought of snakes running loose in a zoo. A summons from Armitage is not lightly ignored, so you hail a taxi and make your way over to the Miskatonic University. Armitage is pacing about, his cane tapping on the floor at each turn. If it is not about the snakes, then something beyond the ordinary is bothering him. He is deep in thought, so he does not glance your way before speaking. I called you here because there was an incident at Nordwell's Menagerie last night. At 6 a.m., in anticipation of the day's visitors, a groundskeeper unlocked the breezeways of the reptile house to allow fresh air to circulate when he screamed in horror. Inside were housed over 100 snakes of various species. The snakes were out of the cages and lying lifeless in a heap. Strange thing, wouldn't you say? A policeman was called, but I doubt he took much interest in dead snakes. However, I think something sinister is in the works. I will hold off making too many guesses yet as to what, but we must get to the bottom of this, even if it's just a cold-hearted prank. You sigh. You are not sure that following up on dead snakes is a good use of your time, but you are willing to humor Armitage. He obviously sees something you do not. Armitage takes a seat at his desk and arranges violets in a vase. A vase. Not one other creature in the reptile house died. Inside the same building are lizards and other creatures, all unharmed. It all seems so unusual, so I will only mention a few minor facts so as not to lead you astray. Armitage pauses now, as if considering his next words carefully. You'll probably need to visit someone whose studies are less comprehensive than my own, but a little more broad. There is the library, of course, but I'm not sure who else. You know who else, but Armitage will not mention his name. You smile and say, should I talk to Pascal Fenton then? He growls at you and barks, Fenton? I don't see why you should. Anyway, time is wasting. I see some urgency here that perhaps you do not. You may gain something if you talk to Garrison. It may be futile, but you never know. Also, the snake carcasses were sent to a zoologist, I believe. Find out where we can find this man. I believe he now runs a pet store. And finally, I believe the zoo look out for anyone who is acting peculiar. Also, I found it interesting that there are no reports from the hospital of snake bites. One would think that attacking that many snakes would be very dangerous. So that is our opening statement there. So you always get like an opening initial, here's what's going on kind of thing, and talking to Armitage. So this is where we're going to get our first round of leads. So while you're at a location, you want to try and take as many notes as possible, because if you feel like you missed anything and want to go back and read it, if you've already moved on, it will cost you a time slot to go back and visit the location and reread it. So take as many notes as you can before moving on to the next thing, especially if you think it's important. So let's go over this real fast. So we have dead snakes. They were operating at Independence Square, so that's up here at D11. So let's do this. Dead snakes at Independence Square. So mark that as D11. And the name of the place is... where is it? Nordwell Zoo. That's what it is. Zoo. Okay, so that's the first thing. 6 a.m. We'll note that it was 6. I mean, it didn't happen at 6 a.m. That's just when the snakes were found. So, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write 6 a.m. is when everything was found, just to be safe. What else do we have here? I'm going to go ahead and make a note that only the snakes were harmed and nothing else. And I'm going to note specifically that... never mind, that one's fine. So here's where we really need to pay attention and kind of dissect what he's saying. So he says... You'll probably need to visit someone whose studies are less comprehensive than my own, but a little more broad. And then there's the library, of course, but I'm not sure who else. So they mentioned the library, so let's go ahead and just write down the library there. There's always Pascal Fenton that we brought up, but Armitage doesn't believe in him, doesn't think that he can help. In my experience, there's only been one case where Fenton was actually of any use to me. So it was kind of hit or miss. I'm going to leave him alone unless I feel like I really need to go talk to him. They were sent off to someone who runs a pet store. So we got to find out a pet store, and then we got to figure out who runs it so we can talk to them. And then Miss Nordwell is staying at the Harding boarding house. Okay. Alright, so those are the initial things that we got here. So we have some. So the information that we have is they were discovered at 6 a.m. The zoo is located at Independence Square, which is up here. It's called Nordwell Zoo. And from the conversation with Armitage, a library could be a place to start. Garrison, who is the police chief, may have some useful information. We know that somebody with one of the higher ups with the circus or with the zoo is at the Harding boarding house, supposedly. And then also the snakes were sent off to someone who has a pet store, a zoologist who has a pet store. So we need to try and track down the pet stores in Arkham to see if maybe we can go talk to them. So that's what I pulled out of this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the newspaper, and I'm going to see if there's anything in this newspaper that maybe can give us a little bit of an extra edge as far as maybe a couple of details that are pretty useful. I don't know. Let's find out. Well, I am multitasking here. There we go. All right. So let's see here. International news, no. No. Creature. Misfortune strikes. So here's the actual thing in the newspaper, specifically about the snakes. So, misfortune strikes Nordwell Zoo. Police suspect foul play last night at Nordwell's Traveling Zoo, where the entire snake collection was killed. The snake carcasses were found in a single pile inside the reptile house, yet no other animals were harmed. The zoo has been the highlight of activities this past month and was planning on moving on to Innsmouth before this tragedy occurred. Miss Nordwell, zoo proprietor, is not sure the zoo will return to Arkham. She believes someone broke inside the reptile house with the sole intention of harming the snakes, calling it a strange act indeed for a rather strange town. The police have named no suspects and do not respond to the Avatar's request for comment. Okay. Alright, so just a quick glance over this. Over that. That doesn't look like there's anything that we're going to get out of there. So, we are going to need to figure out exactly what is going on with this and see what we should do. Now, if we recall, at the beginning of this, whenever we read the rules for this investigation, we know that there's going to be multiple times where there is a delay that involves some sort of poison. And it was directly linked to the more obvious leads. So if we do have a lot of obvious leads that we try to follow, it's more likely we'll encounter a delay. But if you follow leads that aren't obvious, then maybe you don't get all the information. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, I feel like. So since that didn't do anything, I'm going to go into the directory here, and I'm going to see if I can find a pet store anywhere in here, and see if we can go give them a visit. This would be under stores right here. So let's look for anything that could be a... Yeah, we're looking for a pet store of some sort. No, no, no. Definitely no. There is something just called Pet Shop at M19. So that's the most obvious one. There's something called Redgrave's Caravan. For some reason, I feel like that could be something, but probably not. Yeah, there's nothing else here about Pet Store. I mean, it's literally just called Pet Store at M19. So I feel like, so we definitely know where that is. So let me go ahead and get the locations of the other ones here. If I wanted to go to the library, then that would be C23. If I wanted to talk to Garrison, that would be D32. We could talk to Herbert Corbett. He is the local criminologist, it says here. As long as he has the evidence to examine, his forensic expertise is unmatched. So, as long as he has the evidence to examine, so maybe we would have to have a requirement card to go visit him to get anything out of him. So that's, we'll put a pin in that for later. No, we don't want to go talk to Pascal Fenton. I don't think we need to go talk to Sebastian Lyman or the Order of the Silver Twilight yet, unless we get something. Now, another place that could be good is the Speakeasy. So the Speakeasy, it's just, if you don't know what a Speakeasy is, it's basically a bar. So it's a pretty good place that's always to visit. There's always, like, someone to talk to. They've always seen something, heard something. It never hurts to go there. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that down for now. Speakeasy, that is at N4. And then the last thing is the Harding boarding house, which I need to get that location. I've been there in almost every investigation. I should just know this by now. Boarding house, Harding, that's N15. Okay, so I have the locations of everything that I wanted from this. Okay, so we've got the library, Garrison, which is at the police station. We've got the boarding house, we've got the Speakeasy, we've got the pet store. So here are the known quantities from this. We know that at the boarding house is one of the ladies who runs the zoo. We know that she's there for a fact, or at least she's staying there, and we may have to follow to wherever she may be from there. But we know she's staying there. We know the pet, well, from what I found in the book, there's only one pet store in all of Arkham, and we know that the snakes were sent to a zoologist, and it specifically said that he owns a pet store. So this being the only pet store leads me to believe that this is where the snakes were. So if we can go find the snakes, we can inspect the snakes and see if we can get any leads off of that. The unknown quantities, the Speakeasy, which is just a place, it's like a general hub of info. We may find something there, we might not. Talking to the police would probably give us a limited amount of information. And then the library is kind of a hit or miss, because Armitage didn't tell us specifically who to talk to. He just said someone who knows less than he is, who is less experienced than he is, but is more broad than the average person. And then it said, oh, the library is a good place to start, but I don't know where else. So outside of that, the only thing that I could think of, the historian would be a good place to go if we thought this had any sort of link to something that happened. If we find out that it's something that may have happened in the past as well, then talking to the historian may not be a bad idea to see if we can figure out if there's a pattern here. But off of what we know for sure, I guess we could also go to Independence Square. So that's where the zoo is. So we could go check out the zoo, but I don't think we'll find a whole lot there right now because the snakes were already sent off. So we may find a clue there, we may not. It's probably a safer bet to follow the snakes directly. So I think our best options here are going to be either go to the pet store and see if we can find the snakes and examine them, or follow the lead with the boarding house and go talk to the lady that runs the zoo and see if we can get any more information out of her. So for me personally, I'd like to try and find the snakes and see. It didn't say anything about them. Like maybe they were cut open and gutted, or maybe they were... there may be something in the way that they were disposed of that has some sort of clue as to what's going on with them. So for me personally, I think we should go and check out the snakes. So my first move is I want to go to the pet store, and I want to find the and I want to try and check out the snakes. So I'll use this scrap piece of paper over here to track where I'm going. So my first move of the game is going to be M19, which is the pet store. So now that we've decided, let's go to M19, make sure that we go there. M19 here in the book and see what we can find. There we go. Okay. Time requirement. If you arrived before the 4th day on the time tracker, the doors are locked. You may not continue reading below. However, if you arrived here on or after day 4, you may continue this encounter. Oh, man. Okay, great. So we have to wait until day 4 to go back here, so... So I'm going to put a note there for day 4. So we can't go back and talk to this guy until at least the 4th day. So we're going to plan on being there on the morning of day 4 to go talk to him. So that sucks. So that we basically just, on our opening move, burned one of our time slots. Okay, so instead of that, let's go to the boarding house and let's try and talk to the lady that runs the zoo. So that'll be N15. And let's check it out from there. N15. Okay. Aha. Harding House is a 4-story white frame building with light gray trim, a matching gray picket fence, and a well-kept yard. A wide stoop leads up to the front entrance, where you find yourself in a small foyer. William Harding is not present, but a tiny copper-skinned woman sits in a box office, and she greets you. After you tell her your purpose, she rings a bell. Miss Nordwell comes down and takes you to a sitting room on the first floor. She looks haggard and distressed. You get the impression she's always in a vexed state. I have enemies, sure. At least 2 who are angry and resourceful enough to do something like this to me and my babies. She smiles at your reaction to her turn of phrase. What, you think I don't care about my animals? That they're nothing more than a source of income for me? Well, that is true, yes, and the money I invested over the years on those snakes constitutes a devastating blow. But all of my animals, from Icarus the Kestrel to Simeon the Viper, they are also my children. All 112 of those lovely serpents were a part of me. As for Miss Nordwell's enemies, the mayor of a city in Ohio fined her again and again over capricious permit requirements. His name was Stan Cranston. Perhaps the police or the library can find his information and verify what I tell you. The other, more likely enemy, was a former partner of hers named Guillermo Vasquez, with whom she parted ways a few years back, but who sometimes shows up to pester me for cash or favors. Town Hall might possibly know where Vasquez resides. Miss Nordwell is aware of the ancient deity Yig. You suggest that the act may have been ritualistic in nature. Miss Nordwell scoffs. I have been confronted regarding my supposed imprisonment of living creatures. I love the children of the earth the same as Yig does. I believe all things are sacred, and even the evil creatures of this world and beyond. You thank Miss Nordwell for her time, and you offer your condolences. Then you move on, but you feel very sick. Delay. You may rest by advancing the time tracker 1 additional space forward, or you may press on, ignoring the sickness, and continue as normal. So here's one of the delays. So first, before we get to that delay, let's go over our conversation with this lady and see if there's anything of use that we were able to pull out of this conversation. So Let's see. So we know that she has at least 2 enemies that she talked about here. Now, for the sake of the questions at the end, they may ask about the specific animals here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a note of these, which is Icarus the Kestrel. So... and Simeon the Viper. All right. And then we mentioned Yig. So we know that that is some sort of elder god or elder god related being. And the library would probably be a great spot to go and get some more information. Now, the names of the known associates. Stan Cranston is one of them. So we'll put that there. And I'm going to make a note of Stan Cranston because every time I do this and I don't take notes on who the person is and what they were, I always forget, and it bites me in the butt later. So Stan Cranston, mayor of a city in Ohio. Ohio City mayor. So we'll figure out where he's going. And then the other one is Guillermo Vasquez. Trying to spell this. Aha, there we go. And Vasquez was former partner. Now, in what sense of partner, it doesn't specify on whether that's a business partner or like a relationship partner. But we know it's a partner of some sort. And it does mention here that we can talk to... our town hall might be a good place to get some more information on these 2 gentlemen here. So I'll go ahead and I'll make a note of town hall. Okay. So I think that's all the information that we can pull from this. We have... So I made a note of Icarus and Simeon for possibly the notes at the end. And then we have the 2 names of her initial suspects, which is Stan Cranston and Guillermo Vasquez. And the library and town hall are 2 good leads to follow to get more information, as well as possibly the police. The library has been mentioned by multiple things that we've read so far, so that interests me a lot more than the police station. Town hall is new, though. But I would still take town hall over the police in this instance. So so let me go ahead and get the where's town hall in here. So let's go to the directory and let's find town hall, and that's going to be local government. Town hall is at D21. Alright, so that is that. So, got a couple leads here. So, Town Hall and the library are the 2 places that I think are really good to go to here. The question is, which one of these do we follow first? Well, the first thing we have to decide is I'm presented with this delay. So, I can press on as normal, or I can lose a time slot because I'm feeling sick. It's tough. I have a feeling this is going to come up a lot, and I need to balance the times that I push forward and the times that I don't. Since we're right at the beginning, I think I will go ahead and just lose a time slot and rest, because I have a sneaking suspicion that something else will come up later and say, if you didn't rest when you did this, then this happens. So just to be safe, I will lose a time slot, and I'm going to make a note that at N15 was a delay that I took, or that I waited. So I have that there. Okay, so I lost a time slot, but that's okay. So we'll pick up on the next day. So, library. All right, so we already went to the boarding house. All right, so we have the library. And then we have town hall. Those are going to be the two main things there. Pet store can't go back to until day 4. So when we get to day 4, we'll go back to the pet store, and we will take care of that there. Okay, so... Town hall or library? Town hall or library? I think we should go to the library because it's been mentioned more than once. So we could go from the library to the town hall and get some more information here. All right, so... Well, it says specifically here, town hall might know where Vasquez is, but the police or the library is linked to Cranston. So we'll probably have to follow both at some point anyways. So I don't think the order of this necessarily matters, but we're going to go with the library. So we're going to go there, and that's going to be C23. So let's go to the library, and let's see what happens here. C23. Miss Sargent furrows her eyebrows and purses her lips. Ritual killing of snakes, maybe? That sort of information is scarce, she says. You don't respond. Instead, you run off to the bathroom and vomit. Delay. You may rest by advancing the time tracker one additional space forward, or you may press on, ignoring the sickness continuing as normal. Jeez. I'm going to press on this one. So, if I die, I die, I guess. So, I need to make a note of this. So, delay. And then I'm also going to abuse my ability. So, whenever you go to the library, Armitage's office is at C23A, which is inside the library. And part of the rules of the game is that you can always visit his office while you're at the library without taking up a time slot. So, I like to do that just to try and get some free value. So, we're going to do that. So, C23A is what we're going to do. And it's right there. And it says, proceed to supplemental encounters on page 100 and read entry 1. So supplemental encounters is sometimes it will redirect you to something specific that could happen. So we need to go to page 100 and read entry 1. Okay, entry 1. A note is pinned to the office door. I do have something important to tell you. The culprit is trying to sicken us with his poison, so we get discouraged. You can get poisoned by a mere touch. I am immune to the poison mostly, but I dare say you are not. Keep up your rest if you find yourself getting sick. Armitage. You discover a powder on your fingers. It was transferred from Armitage's doorknob. Your stomach knots in pain. Delay. You may rest by advancing the time tracker one additional space forward, or you may press on, ignoring the sickness continue as normal. Another sickness delay. Alright. So C23A... I am going to push on this one as well. So I've hit 3 delays. I only rested once. So we're going to see how we go from there. Alright, well, that was a waste of time. Great. I guess let's go to the town hall then. So we're going to move there. We're going to go to D21. Alright, so let's find D21 here. Alright. You stand at the counter at Town Hall, facing a frowning Nicholas Saltonstall. I have a lot of records and I keep up with a lot of stuff, he says. In fact, I have records somewhere in the vaults behind me about nearly every resident of Arkham. You hear that word? Resident. There's no way that anyone could possibly also keep up with all the transient people who pass through this godforsaken town. Sorry. You thank Saltonstall for his time. As you cross the tile floor between Saltonstall's counter and the exit, he calls to your back. You know what, though? If this Guillermo Vasquez has any sort of clout, I'd be willing to bet either Donnie Clark or Ambrose Checkley knows whether he's around or not. Oh, great. We're already chasing a rabbit. We're losing so much time. So, Donnie Clark or Ambrose Checkley. I know Ambrose is one of our contacts here. Ambrose Checkley is... Yeah, she's one of the high society contacts. So... let's make a note of that. Ambrose, who is going to be at U18. And then the other person, Donnie Clark. I don't think that's one of our known contacts here. I could be wrong. Yeah, not here. So let's go to the book here and let's find Mr. Clark. Let's see if we can go pay him a visit. Clark. It's not here. Now, I thought I remembered Donnie Clark being in one of our previous investigations, and I think he's the guy that runs the counter at the police station. If I remember correctly. I could be very wrong. I'm likely very wrong, to be honest, based off my track record, but... Alright. So, Ambrose... U18. Now, something to keep in mind, like I said, is that it said early on when we first were reading the setup for this that the more obvious of the leads, the more likely we are to get delayed, I think. So I think trying to follow the leads that seem more difficult may cause us to have less delays. I could be wrong. It could just be all bad. Who knows? Alright, so... known quantities. Police stations where Garrison is, and I think that's where Donnie Clark is. I think he's the policeman that runs the counter there. So that is of note. We also have Ambrose, who we know exactly where she is, though. Like, Donnie is a question mark in case I'm wrong, but we know exactly where Ambrose is. So... I feel like we should just follow the known quantities for now and see if we can get some more information. So let's go talk to Ambrose. Let's go to U18. Ha! Ambrose Checkley bellows. That upstart Saltonstall actually admitted that I might know something he doesn't. Strange days are upon us indeed. He lumbers around his sitting room with a half-full cocktail tumbler in his hand. In fact, I do happen to know whether this Guillermo Vasquez has been in town. That's not a typical name for someone in this part of the country, you see, and someone with that very name came to Arkham just 2 days after Miss Nordwell. Interestingly, he never engaged her. He approached several prominent businessmen in town with outrageous real estate propositions. He got nary a nibble, and word is he left Arkham soon after. That would be at least 2 weeks prior to the day the snakes died. So, according to him, This Vasquez fellow came to town around the same time as Miss Nordwell. And then he didn't talk to her, but he went to prominent businessmen about real estate propositions and then left. And he said that would be at least 2 weeks before the snakes died. So I think that is a fair way of saying that we can check Guillermo off the list as a suspect, possibly. If we're following it at face value. Because if he left 2 weeks beforehand, unless he came back to do it, then... yeah. Okay. Okay, so I guess instead... Alright, he said prominent businessmen about real estate. So is there like a real estate office, maybe? I feel like that's not worth going after, though. Yeah, I really don't feel like that's a... Law firms, local lifestyle, local government. Yeah, I don't even know if this is if there's anywhere I could follow up on that. Yeah, I don't think that's worth anything. Okay, I think that we just abandon this trail for now. And we'll put an X next to Guillermo. I guess we could still go talk to the police. Go talk to Garrison. I mean, we don't really have any other leads. We have Independence Square where the zoo was. And then we have Garrison. We still have the Speakeasy if we wanted to go there. And I guess we could find that criminologist and talk to him as well, but it's not guaranteed. Like, I don't think going to him will do anything because they said that the snakes were shipped off to this pet store that we can't go to until day 4. So, what do we do here is the question. Once again, reminding everyone watching, if you want to help me out with this, if you go to the Board Game Geek and you can go to the Mythos Tales on there, and then if you look in the file section, we have uploaded digital files of the game. That's most of the components minus the actual storybook. You can look at the map and you can go through the directory and maybe help me out if you'd so desire with finding some places, maybe following some leads. If you feel so inclined, and you can just post those in the comments, and then I'll see them, and maybe that'll help me with my investigation. Because I don't feel like I'm doing well at all. Although, to be fair, I never feel like I'm doing well in this game. Yeah, let's just go talk to the police, and let's just see there. Because if I'm right as well, then the Donnie Clark guy, I think, is at the police station. We might also find him there. I don't know. Let's just go to D32, and let's go talk to the police, and let's see how we do. Alright, D32. Mickey Toll. That's one of the inspectors. Mickey Toll takes you back to Inspector Garrison's office, gesticulating passionately as he talks. I hate snakes myself, he says, but that doesn't warrant killing them like that. It's just some kind of weirdo, I bet. Garrison stands up behind his desk and Toll takes a place just inside the door. You inform Garrison why you're there, and he nods. Yeah, I figured Professor Armitage would jump on this. Killing 100 snakes is such an unusual crime. In fact, this might be something more up Armitage's alley than ours. And as it happens, this case has taken a turn I wager the old doctor himself didn't anticipate. The inspector grabs a thin manila folder from the corner of his crowded desk and plucks a single sheet. What do you make of this? Sketched it from a witness at Arts. This is Alan Drummond. I mean, why was he acting like this? We had one witness say that Drummond looked like he had a snake head to him, with fangs in his mouth. Garrison takes the sketch back. He was an electrician who had contracted with Nordwills to keep the lights on, especially the heat lamps in the reptile house. He often frequented Art's billiards after work, and yesterday walked in like he was possessed, acting very strange, although his strength was frighteningly real. The police were called, but the man wouldn't back down, instead choosing to overturn tables and threaten the guests, so Officer Blanchard was forced to shoot the fellow. We've conducted a cursory search of Drummond's house and found nothing out of the ordinary. For some reason, the staff and clientele at Arts are reluctant to speak with the police, so we've made little progress there. Oh, and if you want to see it, Garrison says as you're leaving, the corpse itself is with Dr. Sutton at the hospital. Okay, so that gave us a couple more leads. So that's helpful, I guess. I still don't feel like we're making progress, but... so that would be... So, Alan Drummond went crazy and was shot. That dude got lit up. So... And then he mentioned Arts Billiards. So that's where he liked to hang out. Said that they were reluctant to talk to the police, but I'm not the police. And then we also have Dr. Sutton, who has the corpse. So if we wanted to see Sutton, we would need to go to... C11, which is going to be St. Mary's Teaching Hospital. And now, let's go to the directory, and let's find the billiards. That would be at D15. It's not far from Independence Square, so that's worth noting in my book. Okay, so there's those two there. So we have the billiards place to inspect, and then we have Dr. Sutton, who has the corpse. Once again, going with known quantities, the corpse is with Dr. Sutton. Inspecting the body could give us a clue. Arts Billiards is an unknown quantity. It said that they were not being helpful to the police, which means they may also not be helpful towards me. So that could go and be a waste if we go there as well. So in the interest of going... I think going to inspect the body is a little more obvious, which means that I think it's more likely that we'll see a delay there. But at the same time, I feel like inspecting the body may give us some sort of a clue, at least, as to what's going on, especially if they said that he was acting crazy. Maybe there was drugs involved, or maybe there's some sort of marking that can lead us in the right direction. I always hate following leads where it's a maybe. I mean, a lot of the stuff is maybe, obviously, but more of like, they mentioned this person, or they mentioned that they hang out at this place kind of like this. Because I've been burned on other investigations for that exact line of thinking, so I always try and go with the known quantities when I do this, just because I'm trying to be efficient, so I was like, I know for a fact that this location has X. So I'd rather go there and see where that leads me and try and follow that trail. Because, especially in this scenario, with the delays, it's the less careful I am with where I go and check out, the more likely I am to hit more delays and possibly lose more time or be forced to push forward and face a penalty at the end. So with that line of thinking, I'm going to go to C11 and we're going to talk to Dr. Sutton and we're going to see if we can get anything off this body. Because the turn after next, we're going straight to the pet store. And that's where we're going to talk to him. Talk to whoever's there. So, C11. That's where we're going. C11. The front desk clerk motions you down a stairwell into a room where Dr. Sutton is conducting an autopsy. In the morgue, a strong scent lurks, barely masked by lye and antiseptic. Dr. Sutton waves you over to a table where a shadowy corpse lies under a cloth. Sorry about that. I was just finishing up with Mr. Drummond here. Dr. Sutton tells you, I've never seen anything quite like it. His anatomy is altered. I can't tell if it's organic or from self-mutation, or mutilation. Do you know my good friend and retired professor of zoology, Dr. Luttrell? The good professor and I sometimes converse about biology, and I told him about the tumors I found on Mr. Drummond's brain, which extends to his navel cavity. Luttrell became very curious, and I let him briefly examine the body. He laughed and told me that if he didn't know any better, he'd say that they appear similar to growths in snakes' brains, something called Jacobson's organ. That probably doesn't help you, however. I heard the deceased was at Art's billiard the night he died. I can definitely say his odd behavior has something to do with his tumor, or whatever it is. As soon as you exit the hospital, a wave of nausea causes you to veer to a park bench. You feel sick as if you've eaten bad food. Oh my good lord. There's a delay. So we once again have a choice to lose time or keep pressing on. Okay. So let's go over this again. So, Dr. Luttrell. That is the zoologist's name. So, Luttrell is the zoologist. What else do we have here? So, and then they mentioned Jacobson's organ. I'm going to go ahead and take a note of that since it's specific. All right. And he mentioned the billiards, so we could still go talk to the billiards. So, but I feel like that's another place where I might get sick and have to take another delay. So, let's see, Luttrell. Dr. Luttrell is at M19. Okay. So from here we can go to the billiards and talk to them. Or we can go to Luttrell, who is a known quantity. So first I have to mark that there's another delay. I've already pushed on twice. So I think I should rest here. And yeah, I'm going to lose a time slot because I have a feeling it's going to be like, oh, you didn't rest enough. You're dead now. Like, oh, that's a bummer. Although they said that the poison's not fatal, but I still don't want to face a penalty because sometimes it's like, oh, you have a penalty. You lost 100 points. We're like, oh, cool. Sounds good. All right, so I waited here. All right. So if that's the case, we're going to be going to morning on day 4 now. So I think because of that, let's go back to... Oh, and it is the same. It is the pet shop, M19. So it's called Pet Shop in the directory, but Latrell was linked directly to M19, so we just ended up confirming something. So we were going to go there anyways. Works out. I don't know why I grabbed that. We're going to go to M19 right here. And now it is day 4. All right. Dr. Latrell is retired from the university. Now, he and his wife operate a small pet store. As you open the front door of the pet store, the dogs inside bark too loud. You catch the coppery smell of blood and a policeman grabs you from behind. Mickey Tall has a hand on his pistol. "Don't go in there," he yells, but you've already stepped inside. Lying on the floor are the corpses of several mid-sized dogs, and seated in a chair behind a desk is an elderly woman. In the back of the room is Dr. Latrell, still holding a dog in each of his oversized hands. The hands themselves are covered in blood with black, decaying fingernails. Both dogs are injured and yelping in the hands of their deceased master. An hour later, you're sitting on the porch steps with Mickey Toll. Oof. Toll's uniform is speckled in blood, and his countenance is grim. "I have a feeling these things will continue until we find out who killed those snakes. It's all related somehow. I don't know how or why." "We found this on Latrell's body," another officer interrupts, holding up an object that looks like a billy club, except that it's carved with intricate motifs and painted with ornate designs. Several cured snakeskins are tacked to it, as well as a fan of feathers of various brilliant colors. Toll says, "I'm heading to talk to Garrison in just a few minutes. Also, if Armitage doesn't know what that thing is, perhaps Pascal will. Charged with a new sense of urgency, you will leave the police to their crime scene and continue your investigation. Take requirement card 2. Excellent. We have a requirement card. We also have, if you have pressed forward through 3 or more delays, then you find yourself too sick to continue this investigation, and your investigation ends immediately. So thank goodness that I just rested, because that would have been the end of this if I had pushed through it. So the investigation has not ended yet. I rested. So they were not kidding when they said make sure that you rest. Ooh, buddy. Alright, that was close. That was really close. So what do we get out of this? We have requirement card 2. So now we have a reason to go talk to Fenton. Because we have the requirement card. So if we wouldn't have had the requirement card before and talked to Fenton, we may have wasted time. And Pascal is at L4. Okay. Is there anything else? Yeah, there's nothing out of that conversation that I think is really anything we can take out of it, except for the fact that we have the card, and now with the card we can go talk to Fenton, and Fenton will give us hopefully give us some insight as to what this thing is and point us in the right direction. So let's do that. So we're going to go here. We're going to talk to Pascal, so that's going to be L4. So, L4. Oh, wow, this is a long one. Nice. Okay. A cab driver drops you off at Pascal's home. Let me pick this up. You tell the cabbie to come back in a couple hours to pick you up. Send Arlo if he's available, you say. Pascal is at his door ready to greet you. Inside, you're immediately repulsed. Desiccated cadavers hang from spikes on the walls. The stuffed bodies of various exotic animals stand in each corner, and the whole room smells of formaldehyde, rot, and a strange floral poopery as if trying to mask the odor. A large oak desk dominates the center of the room, and Pascal directs you to it, taking his place in a large plush armchair behind it. He's veritably grinning with delight. You get straight to the matter of your visit, telling him about the dead snakes. Did Armitage mention anything to you about Yig? If not, then he is getting slow in his wits. Grinning, Pascal pulls an object out of his desk. It looks like a club, the sort which a British bobby might carry, only it's carved with intricate motifs and painted with odd markings. Huh! Sounds like what we just picked up, doesn't it? Fastened to it are a number of dyed and painted snake skins, and hanging from the skins are an array of feathers of various bright colors. This is a Central American spirit fetish, directly associated with ancient gods of both the Aztec and Mayan cultures. It passed through several hands prior to its coming to me. Those hands thought it was a fetish of Quetzalcoatl, I can't pronounce that, or some similar Central American deity. Pascal indicates a series of black hieroglyphs near the bottom of the club. These markings are pertinent to an ancient power which held sway over the ancient Mesoamerican civilizations predating the Mayans by at least a millennium. It is possible that echoes of this power were heard by the Aboriginals in Australia. Pascal waves the fetish at you, his eyes wide with delight. Yig, he exclaims, the ancient snake god. He deftly puts the fetish away, slamming his desk drawer shut with a flourish. Then he leans in conspiratorially, close enough to catch a whiff of his fetid breath. You know, there are some theories that the Christian association of Satan with the Serpent stems from the influence Yig had over ancient cultures. He laughs, and his laughter makes your skin crawl. I've heard what happened to the snakes at the Nordwell Menagerie, he said. Someone killed all those snakes deliberately, and just as Yig is stirring in his slumber. However, the culprit may very well have misinterpreted the text. Is Yig interested in man's petty dealings? Do you understand? It may be that the attention has been drawn of lesser beings and of humans who worship Yig. I suppose to a degree the old god's attention may be turned to us, and for that reason alone the minds of these bearers are altered. Yig is powerful. Turn the page here. You know, these bearers may even become snakes over time, but it's not a purposeful act of Yig. If we do ever get Yig's full attention, we will know it. Pascal laughs again. You mentioned a text, you ask him. What text? The Necronomicon, of course. Someone is reading it or parts of it. That is the real danger here. Where do they get the pages? If you have requirement card 2, proceed to Supplemental Encounters, page 100, and read entry 2. That's the card that we just got. So guess what, folks? We're going to page 100, and we are reading entry 2. Ah, yes, the fetish, Pascal says, taking the object and turning it over slowly in his hands. And for all intents, this does appear to be similar to the Yig fetish I showed you before. But alas, it is not exactly the same. See these markings here? The one I have is a protective device. Anyone thinking they are conducting the work of Yig will know the symbols on my fetish and believe I am one favored by Yig. This one is different. I suspect, in fact, that its purpose is the exact opposite. It is a calling for destruction, and the bearer becomes a target. He thrusts the object at you, obviously not wishing to touch it anymore. Someone is no doubt putting fetishes like these in places to attract negative attention to the bearer. Unfortunately, it can be effective. They have been found before in Arkham, but only at one place that I'm aware until now. You're not sure you want to know, but you ask anyways. At the sanitarium, he answers. These have been known to show up there from time to time. Upon leaving Pascal's, you find a note at his front door on the ground. It reads, "Cease your investigation or suffer his wrath." The letter has a white residue on it, making you ill. Oh my good lord. Delay. You may rest by advancing it one additional space forward or press on, ignoring the sequence continue as normal. How much time do we have left? I've got 3 left. I'm going to push on. delay. And we're going to go to the next one here. So, from what we gathered here, let's go over this real fast. So, we know Yig is a snake god. Is there anything else here? So, sanitarium. So, sanitarium, D1. All right, so we can go to the sanitarium if we want. But first, let's go back over this thing that we just talked with him in the previous chapter, which is going to be right here. I'm going to write down this Quetzalcoatl. I can't pronounce that properly. So I'm just going to write it down, and maybe it's going to be useful later. So they mentioned the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon is in... So the vampire from the previous... from one of the previous investigations, there's a vampire who was making a new Necronomicon. So that could be a possibility of that Necronomicon still existing. The one that we know for sure is the current one is in the possession of the university in the... Forbidden Library section, but I've already visited the library, and there was no indication that I was able to check out the Necronomicon, so I don't think that that's going to be very relevant here. So I say we just keep following this lead. I mean, I'm running out of time here. I've only got 1-2 more spaces that I can go, so I think that we follow to the sanitarium and see if we can follow anything here. So let's go to D1, and let's hope that this is something that I needed to do. All right, D1. Following on a hunch that someone may have recently escaped the locked ward of the sanitarium, you find yourself speaking with a nurse in the front hall. Moans are heard in the distance. The sanitarium evokes a history of horror that chills you to your bones. The nurse tells you that no one has escaped the locked ward in the past year. This, however, lends you little comfort. Do you have any inmates that are going on about, well, snakes? The nurse looks at you coldly. Well, we do have one inmate. I suppose you can see him. He has never given us any trouble. You follow her down a hall where you are introduced to a clean-cut man who is enjoying a game of cards in the recreational room. The man responds to your question, but he soon breaks his calm demeanor. Ugh. Yig is coming very soon, he tells you. He has been awakened to bring destruction to this world. He will bring a new world order. Do you understand? His eyes are fixed on yours, intense. Without warning, he erupts, standing out of his chair, screaming a few inches from your nose. Yig is coming. 2 orderlies escort you out. So that gave us actually nothing. So we'll just go ahead and write Yig, Destruction, and New World Order. Other than that, we just wasted our time. Alright. So, former partner. Hold on, I gotta make a note here that I just remembered about Vasquez. Left 2 weeks before incident. Wanted real estate. The only thing that I have left that I consider a solid lead that could actually help us, I think, is going to be going to the billiards and see if they'll talk to us. Because I've only got one more space that I can go, right? So hold on. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. Yep, so I'm correct. Yep. Oh my goodness. See, I'd only be here if I wouldn't have had to wait. But if I didn't wait, I would have already ended this investigation. So that is a good thing that I did. Yeah, I guess for the last one, let's go to the billiards. Watch this be like the thing that I should have done way long ago, and it just opens up a whole world of possibilities. And I'm like, oh, great, but it's my last thing, so I can't follow it. Alright, let's go to the billiards at D15 for the last location that we can go to. Oh, it's on the same page here. Alright. So, Art's Billiards is usually a busy, bustling place. During the day, professional billiards players hunch over the tables preparing for tournaments. The after-work crowd is rowdier. However, today, Art's is only at half capacity and the uneasiness in the place is palpable. Art is a squat, hairy man who perpetually sucks on a stinky cigar. When he comes out to meet you, he brings with him a tall, lanky man in overalls and a newsboy's cap, as well as a female waitress. Art introduces the two who are accompanying him, a hustler who calls himself Bizba, and one of the billiard hall employees, Lisa. Both of them were here when Drummond showed up, Art says. Lisa is the only worker who didn't quit, and Bizba is my only regular who comes in since. What a jerk, that Drummond. Could have run me out of business. You sit all three down and they give you an outline of the events. Art was in the back room, Lisa was in front serving food and drinks, and Bizba was liberating money from a few Harvard kids. Drummond came in the front door, slamming it open. Lisa and Bizba both immediately recognized him, and not just because of his jumpsuit and the label on it. Alan Drummond was a good friend of Bizba's. There was something about him, Lisa says, which made me feel uneasy, like it wasn't Alan at all, but it looked just like him. While patrons and staff fled, Lisa fetched Art, and Bizba stepped forward to confront his friend. Alan flung him aside as if he didn't recognize Bizba. That strength, Bizba tells you. It was like nothing else. Turned the place clam bake. He threw chairs and smashed tables. I'm lucky I got off with just a couple bruises. We're all lucky I was the one who took the biggest hit. Except, of course, for the Carthy kid. Who was Carthy and what happened to him? He was hell-bent on Will Carthy, no doubt, Lisa interrupts. He came in, tossed Bizba, and then went right for Will. You ask them if they've told Inspector Garrison about how Drummond focused on Carthy, and they will all shake their heads. No, Art explains. I don't think we've had a chance. It just didn't jibe, and we were dazed for so long after the incident. I don't know what to think. He also bit Will on the shoulder. I swear I saw that, and he lifted a pool table over his head. We all saw that. I still can't believe it. They finish by telling you how Alan Drummond came to be standing over Will Carthy with a very heavy pool table held above his head, a table which, had it come down on Carthy, would have probably killed him. Fortunately, though, at that moment, Officer James Jimmy Blanchard entered, pistol in hand. He called out, and when Drummond turned to face him, still holding the table aloft, Blanchard took his shot, pulling bullets in his chest and head. You thank the three of them for their help and whisper to Art. I could sure use a drink, however illegal it might be. Suddenly, however, your stomach roils. You are not feeling well. You may rest by advancing the time tracker or whatever. Obviously, I'm going to rest here because It's the end of the investigation anyways. So maybe it was designed to where the delays were letting you know that you were on the right path. Because every time I hit one of these things and I felt like I was making progress, it was, oh, here's a delay, you're feeling sick. Here's a delay, you're feeling sick. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel. Okay, and if I would have had more time, then they said that he bit somebody. Said that he bit some kid named Will Carthy. Okay. So, I mean, that's it. That's all the time I have. So I'm just going to have to go and try and answer these questions the best that I can. Okay. Still don't feel good about this, but let's see how it goes. Alright, there are 12 questions. Oh my goodness. Alright. So, question 1. What is the name of the man who attacked the patrons of Art's Billiards? Oh, that was Alan Drummond. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna guess this Will Carthy kid. I think that he got bit and then went insane and killed all these snakes. It's just kind of a Hail Mary. Who manufactured the poison to kill the snakes? Now there's poison involved. I don't know. Rick James. Number 4. To what sinister purpose were the snakes killed? Ritual to summon Yig? I think that's what it was pointing to. 5. What is the purpose of the fetishes you might have found around Arkham? They direct, I think it was like direct negative energy or, yeah, direct harmful energy and destruction. Question 6. What are the names of the 2 people Miss Nordwell named as possible suspects? Easy. Stan Cranston and Guillermo Vasquez? 7. What kind of poison killed the snakes? No idea. Snake poison. To which organization does Will Carthy likely belong? Silver Twilight Lodge? I don't know. I'm just going to put that. Name as many of the 4 ingredients used to manufacture the poison as you can. Oh my good lord. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere near this. 10. What eventually happened to Officer Jimmy Blanchard? I don't know. He died? So, question 11. How was Pascal's fetish different from others? I know that one. It was for protection. And then 12. According to Arlo, the cab driver, what is the name of the latest dance craze? Oh my lord. I don't know. I'm just going to put the stanky leg. I've got no idea. Yeah. Even if I get a decent score on this, I'm still not going to consider this a win because I didn't actually solve anything here. Alright. Question 1. Name the guy who attacked patrons. Alan Drummond. Got that one. So that is 3 points. Name the snake's killer. Will Carthy. Hey, that was a Hail Mary. I got it. We'll say that was 5 points. Nice. Who manufactured the poison to kill the snakes? Mike Damon. Did not get that. To what sinister purpose the snake's killed? To provoke Yig's wrath and or awaken him. I put to summon Yig. Summoning and awakening are basically the same thing. I'll give myself that one, even though it was a guess. Question number 5. What is the purpose of the fetishes? To bring attention / destruction upon the bearer. I said to direct harmful energy and destruction. Definitely got that one. So that is 3 points there. What are the names of 2 people? Stan Cranston and Guillermo Vasquez. Definitely got that. So I got 2 points for each one, so that's a total of 4 points on that. What kind of poison killed the snakes? Hydrogen cyanide. Did not know that one. Seems brutal. 8. Will Carthy likely belong to Order of the Silver Twilight? I said Silver Twilight Lodge, which is the Order of the Silver Twilight. I'll give myself that one. 1 point. Question mark on this one, so I didn't get that. Number 10, I said he died. Said he shot himself. I'm not gonna... That was a complete guess. I'm not gonna give myself anything close to that one. How is Pascal's fetish different from the others? It's for protection, whereas the others invokes Yig's wrath. I said it was for protection. So we got that one. That's 1 point. And according to the cab drive, latest dance craze is called the snake. I put the stanky legs. That did not count. Alright, so my initial score before penalties is going to be 5, 8, 13. Yeah, so 5, 8, 11, 14, 18, 19, 20. So 20 points for my base score. Now, let's check this out. If you were forced to stop your investigation because you were too ill, deduct 3 points from your score. Which that didn't happen. If you visited Mike's warehouse where you saw his head explode, deduct a point for sanity loss. I didn't see that. If you were not forced to stop your investigation due to illness and you never chose to rest upon encountering any number of delays, deduct 1 point from score for each delay you encountered. Through the investigation with sickness, put you in the sanitarium. Okay, I did choose to rest at a couple points, so that doesn't apply either. So I didn't actually lose anything. Count the number of locations you visited at least once. Armitage was able to solve all questions in this case, visiting 8. Deduct 1 point for everything you'd visited beyond 8. Now, since I did so bad on the last one, the helpful thing that I got for this investigation is one of these won't count. At least one. So that's easy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So since I went to that one twice, that would be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minus 1. So that's 9. So I'm going to lose 1 point. I'll go to 19. So, if I got at least 15 points, then I successfully solved it. If I got less than 15 points, I would have had to have read supplemental entry 5. And if I scored at least 21, that would have been a lot bigger. Now, I did guess on... I guessed Will Carthy correctly for number 2. And that gave me 5 points. And if I wouldn't have gotten that, that would have left me at 14 points. And I would have been 1 short. So my Hail Mary worked out for us. So even though I didn't know it, I knew it. So, alright. So, here's the solution that Armitage followed. Inspector Garrison has arrested Will Carthy for the killing of Miss Nordwell's snakes, Armitage says when you meet him in his office to compare notes on his latest investigation. No doubt that with aid from his friends at the Order of the Silver Twilight, he'll be back on the streets within a year. You notice that Armitage has a protective fetish like Pascal's now. It rests on one of his shelves in front of a row of leather-bound books. You're not going to touch that thing. It might still have poison on it. The best we can hope for, he says, is that we've put a scare into Carthy. We've let him and his colleagues at the Order of the Silver Twilight know that we're onto them. We can't prove, of course, that Carthy was deliberately attempting to provoke the snake god Yig's wrath, but we certainly suspect it, and they know we suspect it. We still don't know how exactly, or exactly why they were trying to turn Yig's eyes to Arkham, but they were, and knowing that gives us some advantage. Of course, all the knowledge in the world won't bring back poor Alan Drummond, and his rampage at Art's Billiard, as well as his consequently being shot dead by poor Officer Jimmy Blanchard, will no doubt make front-page news. In fact, I'm sure Donnie Clark will come up with a clever headline or two about humans turning into snakes. Oh, Donnie's the guy at the newspaper. That's right. Although I doubt Clark will be able to discover what we know, that the fetishes were being planted on the victims. Something bothers me still that we seem to be talking around. It would seem that poisons were causing everyone to act so strangely. Blanchard took his own life, but I saw some things that can't readily be explained unless there were a higher power involved. Ah, yes. Well, there are things we won't understand, and there may be others involved in this sinister plot, but they did not leave evidence behind. One day, however, we will be on their trail. As for the poison, well, my guess is that Mike Damon won't be manufacturing hydrogen cyanide for anyone. Garrison seized Damon's property and confiscated all the ingredients. He told me in confidence that they found other possible ingredients for other poisons, some mild and others of no composition that can be identified. Damon derived chemical formulations from forbidden books, I'm sure. The downside to all of this, Armitage says, shaking his head, is that Miss Nordwell has decided to pull up her stakes and move on and never return. But who can blame her? She suffered a loss that, though it pales in comparison to the loss Drummond and the others suffered, is devastating. And wherever she goes, she's sure to be happier and safer than if she lingered here in Arkham. So the path that Armitage took. So you talked to Dr. Winslow in the Miskatonic Chemistry Department. I didn't even think about chemistry. Oh my good lord. Chemistry, then he went to the billiards, then he went to the police station, then he went to Drummond's house, then he went to Fenton, then he went to... I actually did anything. It's called the Star... If you haven't seen this game before or played it, this gives you a good idea of what the game is actually like. Like I said, there's 8 of these investigations in this book. That was number 5, so I have 3 more to go until the end of the book here. Like I said, I'm doing one each week until we get to the end of it. Now, a couple of things I want to go over with you before I sign off for the day. I did this at the start of the stream, but I want to go over with you again. So the first thing is that discount code at the top, Mythos Live. Every stream, we're going to have a special discount code that is a 24-hour discount on the game that I'm playing on stream. It's a unique code, only active for 24 hours, and you can only get it from tuning into the stream and getting it from there. So this is Mythos Live is the discount code. So if you go to greyfoxgames.com, put Mythos Tales in the cart, and then put Mythos Live as a discount code in the next 24 hours, you will get 25% off the game. So it's pretty sweet. So you can do that there. And like I said, we put these digital files for most of the game on BGG. So if you get a copy of the game, you think it'd be fun to play with some of your friends, since we're all quarantining right now, you can all get online and like Discord or something, and whoever has the copy of the game can just use all this stuff, kind of like I'm doing, and then you get the digital files, which is like the directory, the newspapers, the map. You can go through and kind of help find leads alongside with that, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, greyfoxgames.com is where to get that. Also on the website, you can subscribe to the newsletter. Newsletter keeps you up to date on everything that we have going on here at Grey Fox. You're the first to know about new Kickstarters that are happening. You're the first to get insider information on our production time. So this year we've got some pretty big games coming out. We've got Tsukiyomi Full Moon Down. We have After the Empire. We have Tortuga 2199. So anything that's an update on those, if you're not a backer, you'll get the updates on if you're a backer. But if you're not a backer but you still want to know about where we are with that stuff, newsletter's the best way to do that. We also send out all kinds of discount codes. We give away games. So it's just a really cool newsletter to be part of. It's free, obviously. All you just got to put it in is your email, and you're good to go. And speaking of discount codes and all that good stuff, the other thing up there, the teespring.com/store/greyfoxgames, that's our new merch store that we have here. And we've got t-shirts, hoodies, stickers. There's a pillow you can get there with some cool Champions of Midgard stuff. But all the merchandise features artwork and unique pieces from our games. So like I said, we have Champions of Midgard on there, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, Seven Ronin, Bushido, just yesterday, we uploaded Reavers of Midgard, some stuff for that, and we're currently working on some designs for Run, Fight, or Die. So we're uploading new stuff all the time that you can order. So you can go there and check it out. We're going to be adding that to our newsletter as well with the merch store. And we will have unique discount codes for the merch store in the newsletter moving forward that you can use. So if you're part of the newsletter, you'll get a discount code to order some cool shirts or a sticker or something. So it's just another great reason to sign up for that. And that's really all I got for you. So I went over everything there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. So it's a lot of reading, so sorry if it was too boring for you, if I lost you at any parts, but game's awesome. You get your own copy, Mythos Live, discount code on GreatFoxGames.com today, or the next 24 hours. So if you're watching this after stream, this is May 20th. So by May 21st, like sometime before the end of the day, you should still be able to get that discount there. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. There's no stream tomorrow. Our stream schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So we'll be back on Friday. We'll be playing a game on Tabletop Simulator. We have not announced what game it is yet because we like surprising. We like letting people know ahead of time. So we'll probably announce on our social media tomorrow what that game is going to be and who's playing in it. In previous streams of that, someone that is a friend of ours and also a close colleague is the Undead Viking. If you know him from his YouTube channel, he has been playing with me the past couple of weeks. We have been playing some games on Tabletop Simulator. One week I played Bushido with Pedro, who is the designer of Bushido. So we played and we talked about the design process and kind of how the game went from concept to being completed and everything. So it's really cool stuff that we like to do. It's always kind of like, I like the Tabletop Simulator stuff because I get to interact with someone, but it also makes it easier because I like to get into that educational side of the industry. So it's like, hey, if I'm playing with a designer, it's like, hey, what's your design concept on this? Like, how'd you come up with this? How'd you work on it? And just random stuff, so check that out. It'll be a lot of fun. Keep an eye out for what game we're going to play. Okay, so that'll be Friday, 3 p.m. Central, and we'll announce the game on the social media today or tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not following us on any of our social media, everything down below there, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you can find us at those tags, and you'll be able to look us up, and then you can follow it there, and that'll be another great way of keeping up with everything that we've got going on. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I will be back on Friday, 3 p.m. Central.